Chapter 464, Blue Sky Herb. This chapter is updated by Novels.pl. Konglani U rotated the vertical bamboo flute in her hands and stirred up a circle of genuine chi waves. She shook her arms and swung them quickly. The bamboo leaves resembled flying swords. They flew toward Zhang Yuochen like drops of water. Wu. In Zhang Yuochen's eyes, they were not bamboo leaves but people with swords in hand. Like thousands upon thousands of horses and soldiers, they were murderous and mighty, uttering ear-splitting whistles. Konglani U's swordsmanship was extremely powerful. She forced him to retreat back constantly. No, I can't retreat. My cultivation is higher than her and my strength is stronger than her. Why can't I fight with all my strength? Zhang Yuochen sank his legs and his feet stepped into the ground 7 centimeters deep. He stopped retreating and held his sword with both hands, ready to slash. Soul Repose Shadowing, one of the 13 sword techniques of soul chasing. This sword technique was very powerful and overwhelming. The bamboo leaves were forced apart on both sides. Many were destroyed by sword chi and turned into fine powder. Bang, bang. Even so, there were still 7 bamboo leaves. Under the control of Konglani U's genuine chi, they cut through his celestial body shield, leaving 7 wounds. The wounds were small. The bamboo leaves were only a centimeter deep into the flesh at most. They were not vital wounds. Konglani U uttered a light A and showed surprise in her eyes. You can open up chakras. This gets more and more interesting. The so-called chakras, one of the extra meridians, was hidden in a warrior's skin. If a warrior practiced for a year, an extra layer of skin would grow. Thus, his defensive power would also increase. The way a warrior's skin grew was kind of like growth rings inside a tree. Zhang Yuochen had opened up the chakras, so the wounds from the bamboo leaves did not go deep. Of course, if Zhang Yuochen used the Dragon Pearl's divine dragon strength, he could ward off the bamboo leaves entirely without injury. But then, the battle between Konglani U and him would be meaningless. She controlled her cultivation at the mid-stage of the Heaven Realm, 3 realms lower than Zhang Yuochen. Moreover, she only used sword techniques without any other means. Zhang Yuochen would not use any other means either. He would only use his own power to deal with her. Swoosh. Konglani U launched another attack. She displayed the 4th sword technique. Zhang Yuochen raised his arm once again to ward off his assailant. He wanted to keep fighting recklessly with her. With a bang, the vertical bamboo flute she pointed passed through his right arm. It hit his shoulder and sent him flying through the air. Zhang Yuochen had no feeling in his right arm and half of his body had become numb. Seeing that he was about to fall to the ground, he quickly ran his genuine chi, stretched out his left hand to hit the ground, and flew up to land upside down. Before he could stand firm, Konglani U had launched her 5th strike and hit his globula. Instead of dodging, Zhang Yuochen immediately pushed his left palm to hit her lower abdomen. If she did not take back the vertical bamboo flute, her lower abdomen would be hit. A warrior at the mid-stage of the Heaven Realm would definitely die after being struck by Zhang Yuochen's palm. Konglani U snorted and turned her slender waist. Like a fish in the water, she quickly twisted up and avoided his movement. She hit downward and pointed the vertical bamboo flute to the center of his back. Awful. Zhang Yuochen felt his back grow cold and knew that he could not avoid this movement. He immediately mobilized his genuine chi to form Celestial Body Shield and pushed it back. The Celestial Body Shield turned into a huge light ball, enveloping him. The light ball lost its effect when Konglani U's vertical bamboo flute hit its surface. Break. Konglani U broke Zhang Yuochen's celestial body shield and hit him in the center of his back. The celestial body shield reduced the power of the vertical bamboo flute by half. It struck him with a crash. He was shaken to lunge forward, without any heavy injury. Zhang Yuochen endured his burning back pain and turned. Just as he turned back, the vertical bamboo flute was pressed against his heart. If it was a real life or death struggle, his heart would have been stabbed by the vertical bamboo flute. Zhang Yuochen withdrew, saying, I failed. I defeated you in 6 movements. You've progressed a lot in the last half a month. Your understanding of sword technique was far beyond my expectation. Konglani U took back her vertical bamboo flute and returned to the bamboo pavilion. She waved her hand over the stone table and a pot of tea and 2 celadon cups appeared. She blew a breath. The teapot slowly flew up and suspended in the air. PHHT. Kong Laniu did not perform any other conjuring tricks. The spiritual chi between heaven and earth flew continuously into the teapot. A section of spiritual chi flew into the teapot and blended with the water. Another turned into wisps of fire and coated the teapot. Shortly afterwards, came the delicate fragrance of tea. It turned to wisps of white mist that pervaded the bamboo forest. Zhang Yuochen, I told you that if you withstood my strikes 3 times, I would treat you to a good drink. You can enter the bamboo pavilion, Kong Laniu said calmly. When he walked into the bamboo pavilion, the fragrance of tea was stronger. Taking a deep breath, he inhaled the fragrance into his abdomen. All of a sudden, he felt a current of mighty spiritual chi flowing into his blood meridian. His blood seemed to be boiling. Zhang Yuochen immediately ran the scripture of Emperor Ming's Empyrean. Genuine chi rapidly moved through the 36 meridians in his body for a large surge of vital energy. Kong Laniu took a deep look at Zhang Yuochen as he performed the scripture of Emperor Ming's Empyrean. Her eyes were full of confusion and intricacy. What on earth is inside that teapot? Why do I benefit so much by taking a deep breath? If I take a sip of tea, will I benefit even more? Zhang Yuochen said to himself. Zhang Yuochen put aside his doubts temporarily. He went to the opposite side and sat down. Kong Laniu lifted her eyelids and stared at him. She said, "You're only a warrior of the heaven realm. How dare you sit opposite me to be on a par with me? You're quite unscrupulous." Zhang Yuochen remained relaxed. "Predecessor, you invited me to drink tea in the bamboo pavilion. Why can't I sit down?" Even if Kong Laniu had extremely high cultivation, Zhang Yuochen was not afraid of her. He treated her still as his cousin, without pressure. After meeting her twice, Zhang Yuochen could tell that Kong Laniu had no enmity toward him from 800 years ago. Moreover, she had been very concerned about him that year. Even so, Zhang Yuochen did not intend to tell her the truth. If she knew the truth, she would certainly plan his future. She would bring him back to Ming Hall, with her current cultivation, experience, status, and will. If he returned to Ming Hall, how would he get along with her in the future? How did Zhang Yuochen know that she was from Ming Hall? It was actually very simple. When he had gone to Sword Sanctum, Jade Saint had asked him if he was a member of Ming Hall. Now, Kong Laniu was here again, and she was connected with Sword Sanctum. She had to be a member of Ming Hall. He was only a young warrior in the heaven realm. She was an 800-year-old saint from Ming Hall. The difference between them was huge. Kong Laniu would not submit herself to him as she had 800 years before. Moreover, Zhang Yuochen did not want to expose his identity. He was a proud person and had his own cultivation plan. He did not want to resort to Kong Laniu and Ming Hall. Tell her, or not tell her? Suddenly, countless ideas flashed across his mind. Kong Laniu seemed to be thinking about something. She did not say anything and fell into silence. Zhang Yuochen put his hands together. He swallowed and enjoyed the tea fragrance. He performed his exercises and quickly cultivated himself. Zhang Yuochen's mind was empty after he inhaled the tea fragrance. His doubts about martial arts were settled in an instant. If I could keep inhaling and exhaling the tea fragrance and maintain my current status, I would be able to break through the final state of the heaven realm within a month. His spiritual power was strong. He had reached 41st level. He quickly did 3 things at once. He swallowed and inhaled tea fragrance and performed exercises. He recalled the process of fighting with Kong Laniu to grasp the quintessence of her sword technique. Meanwhile, Zhang Yuochen's heart of the sword changed into a human shape inside his chi si. He exercised sword techniques repeatedly. Gurgle. The water in the teapot was boiling. Under Kong Laniu's control, the teapot flew to Zhang Yuochen. A full cup of jade green tea was poured. Then, the teapot flew back. Another cup of tea was poured for her. Zhang Yuochen opened his eyes and looked at the tea before him. Is it possible that this tea is boiled with the legendary holy medicine Blue Sky Herb? You're quite knowledgeable. There's a leaf of Blue Sky Herb in the teapot. Kong Laniu put the small delicate teacup to her red lips and gently took a sip. In legends, Blue Sky Herb grew in the clouds rather than on the earth. It absorbed moisture and spiritual chi, collected the light of the sun and the moon, and finally formed into a grass blade of holy medicine. Such a treasure was more precious than 5 elements spirit treasure. If a Blue Sky Herb came on the scene, many half-saints would struggle to seize it. Blue Sky Herb could not only help warriors to improve their cultivation but also help them to comprehend the Holy Road. Therefore, Blue Sky Herb was extremely precious to a figure at the 9th change of the Fish Dragon realm or a half-saint. It was extremely wasteful for a leaf of Blue Sky Herb to be used to make tea for a warrior of the Heaven realm. She treated me with Blue Sky Herb, such a holy medicine. Is it possible that she's recognized me? Zhang Yuochen wondered. Kong Laniu put down her teacup and stared at Zhang Yuochen. She said, "If you stop drinking it, the efficacy of Blue Sky Herb will decrease." Zhang Yuochen did not consider it anymore. He lifted his teacup and drank it to the last drop. Then he almost dropped the teacup. He was frightened by her words. Kong Laniu watched him, saying, "You practiced scripture of Emperor Ming's Empyrean?"